getting some kind of an awakening and understanding of who you are as a person and as a being on this realm of existence, you got to be able to put the work in for that. It don't come overnight, and it takes a lot of work, but it's so easy to not do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I always look at it as like riding a bike. It's easy to not ride a bike. You just don't ride it.
Yeah.
But if you know, in order for you to get from point A to point B a little faster, you need to ride a bike. You gotta put in the work. You're gonna scratch yourself up. There's gonna be days you ain't gonna want to get on that bike because you done busted your knee up so bad.
So bad.
But you know, eventually you're gonna get the drift, and once you do it, it becomes like clockwork. That's how spirituality works.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? That's if you know your game.
Yes,
And your chakras all aligned up right. You know.
So like, what is the probably like easier or good way for like the audience out there that really don't necessarily know how to open their chakras up? Like, what was your way or your way of like opening up your chakras? Like,
Discipline. That's the only way. You can't like, you know, some people, they try to give you all these answers and they want to like make it look all pretty and shit, like they paint it up. You know, it's discipline. That's the only way you're gonna be able to align yourself properly. First of all, you gotta do the homework and the research on how to align yourself properly. Then you gotta figure out by race at sometimes too, because different races, different practices. By race also too as well. You gotta figure out where does it work for you on your vibration. Because all of this is different levels of energy that you're working with when you're dealing with chakras.
yeah.
So if you don't understand that, then you're not going to understand anything if you can't get past the discipline part. And discipline is something that I think every human being has. It's just who's willing to use it and who's not.
Yeah, facts.
You know?
That's facts.
Yeah.
So, like, so the discipline is there. What is the next step as far as like, cause you know like different points have like their own thing, and I don't know, like I guess some people focus more on just one instead of like all of them, instead of like what is your way to like really activating like all of them as you can.
You don't have to activate all as you can. You don't have to activate all. If you can activate all, that means you've mastered the art of discipline. You're not going to be able to do all at once. Every single one has its own chamber. So in chambers, what you doing when you're in a chamber? You ever watch Kung Fu flicks?
Yeah.
Those are lessons. You're gaining all kinds of lessons inside that chamber. Once you feel empowered to, and you got to feel that spiritual empowerment for you to know that you're ready for the next level, which is the next chakra. And once you have mastered that part, and you will feel it, because you will know if you ain't ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're still gonna feel like you're in that wilderness, like that middle zone. But once you feel it, you go to the next level of the other chakra, and then it keeps going. Then you can play with that. You can either know how to activate all, or you can activate some. You know the rules. The rules is there. It's just discipline. Again.
Well, you know, like when you have certain ones out of whack, like certain stuff may occur or happen. So like, do you think that is necessary or not necessarily to like try to like activate like as much chakras, or if you know that you out of whack with some of them, do you think it's important to cover all of them or step chakra by chakra?
I think it's very important to do chakra by chakra, not all, because if you're donating energy to try to correct one that is out of whack, you don't want to just throw it all on everybody, and you know everybody don't need that attention. One needs more attention than the other. So you got to donate that energy into that chakra to get that aligned right and reset. It don't hurt to reset. You don't always got to try to fix something on the spot. You can start over and figure out where you went wrong that made you come to this pause. right here to be out of whack.
Yeah.
So you could be back online again, and then having the other ones online with you, with that chamber, a chakra.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get into something that's what's been trending. How you feel about the Cat Williams thing, man? what's your take on Cat, man? Cause Cat spoke a lot of truth. He said a lot of things that as us, you know what I'm saying, we have talked about for a while in the game and in the industry and how they really play about certain things.
Yeah.
What's your take on what he was saying?
I think with Cat, I respect Cat Williams. Like I have mad respect for him. For one, because Cat Williams doesn't strike me as a normal comedian.
Mm-hmm.
He's to me, he seems more of a more authentic comedian. Like the comedians that a lot of us been fed throughout the years, a lot of them were authentic comedians. They branched off and they try to do other things, and they didn't keep the core. What pays the bills for
right.
real? Keep that strong, like that comedic
Right.
part of them strong.
Right.
And I think for a man that has done something similar, that branched off and did his movies and stuff, as you know, he was the next, I think it was Next Friday or one of those movies.
Yeah.
And he was in a couple of other joints. I think after Sunday.
Yeah,
Those
First
movies,
Sunday,
he branched off, but guess what? He still did. He
did
still
his
keep that comedy going. And he employed a lot of people underneath him. He made sure that they all ate, I think, $300,000 a piece.
Yeah.
You know that's money for a comedian, especially if you're an upcoming comedian and you on the card with Cat Williams. You know what I'm saying? So I think for a person that's authentic and people taking his jokes, after a while you can only hold back but for so long.
Right.
Because he's been keeping it. I mean, he did challenge Steve Harvey one time earlier in the early 2000s. Steve Harvey wasn't ready for that work, so you know. But I got mad respect for him though, man. I think he's right in how he feel. I think what he said about the industry is 100% correct. It's just stuff that they keep behind in the shadows and they act like it's not there, but rituals is there and sacrifices are there.
Yeah, definitely there. Like he got on something, like he was saying, he's on this side with God and he against the other side, and that's honestly what I feel like how everything is like starting to go right now.
Mm-hmm.
With the way of like how life is going. It's like what energy is you on?
Mm-hmm.
What is you standing on?
Mm-hmm.
Type of deal. So when he said that, it was like, man, okay,
Word.
this ain't no, he just doing it. So just saying this, he's like finally letting you know, because he spoke and said, this is the age of Aquarius. He said that. So, and this is the time for information, truth,
the awakening, man.
Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that time for, you know what I'm saying, like the cabal, the crash, everything to be exposed and
all of that.
So it's like he know what he doing. So and it's
you got props for me, man.
Yeah,
and I know it's dangerous. It's not an easy sport. You get backlashes, you get ridicule, you get thrown in the media. You know, media is the most powerful thing in the United States. It's more powerful than nukes. The media can destroy a whole entire country.
That's fact.
It does it to a whole entire race. Think about that. So, you know.
You seen the movie Leave Behind? What is it called? Something like that. It's the one Barack Obama executive produced. It's on Netflix.
I think I
Leave This World Behind. So something like that. You seen it?
I looked at it a little bit. I'm not really a big follower of. I don't watch that kind of stuff because it's like it's different for me. It's like I see things from a whole different scope. Than how we've been taught and trained to think as a people. So when I watch movies like that, I look way past like I'm like all the way into the movie because I look at agendas, I look at tradition, rituals, all kinds of stuff I'm looking at in movies because movies is an imitation of life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I look at it, I take it and I watch it like thoroughly. I have I laugh. I ain't like all like robot and shit looking at it, but
Yeah.
I'm by nature, I'm a spiritual person. So I just read right through that shit and look at it and be like, all right, I see where they going with this.
Yeah.
Nah, I ain't messing with that.
It's crazy because that's low key like how I am with movies. Like there's like certain movies I don't even necessarily watch or I watch some movies that's kind of pertaining like to the stuff that they had, like the whole extraterrestrial things and
Yeah. What's your take on that
government
though?
cover up.
Extraterrestrials and things like that.
Shoot, we are there. We are extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the origin
Right.
where everything started at, to be honest. Because you gotta like really like look like what was really here before us, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's a lot of people scared to touch on the real origin of like where everything really started. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't go past but so far, or stay in a religion they in that doesn't.
They pocket themselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like and it limits you. That's how I know like that if the religion limits you or not, if it don't even speak on those type of things that really which was there, what happened around those times that they talking about. Even for instance, like you got your Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan, they spoke about the mother plan, mothership and all that. They had books on it and stuff like that.
Those things you find both information in the King James Version and in the Quran. In both texts, they speak of extraterrestrials. They speak of, they describe life differently. They don't describe it the same as, how other texts have been written in the past. It's a little similar in actions, but there's always that classic argument, which one came first, and that's a whole nother subject that I can get into. But inside there, in those texts, several different chapters of several different books. They have literally in like how you say parables, right?
Yeah.
They have them written of extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
It's just like how people like reading into stuff when it comes to the Bible. You could read into that because that's right there. You know what I mean? Like there's different chapters in there that if you read it, you could tell like this is extraterrestrial dealings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that I go a little deeper than that because I don't just stay in that language. I go before that because you got to remember it was the one that we read in this language that we speak, which is not the language of our home.
Exactly.
It's a mistranslation of the many books that came before that was written in scrolls, that was from papyrus, that was written in tablets, that was passed down through generations and many books that supersedes the Bible. Exactly. So that's how far I go when it comes to this. So when they talk about that, and I'm reading into that, it's more like when a person say to you, let us create man after our own image and likeness, they're not saying let us as in let me create man after my own image and likeness.
Yeah.
They're saying let us as in us as beings.
Yeah.
Not the Holy Spirit, Jesus and God. That whole thing don't coincide and it don't match up with the original text, which is written in Syriac. This is old translations. These are beings that, when you say we're extraterrestrials, those were the same beings that we're talking about.
Right.
That had laid down information that supersedes way more than what we're reading right now, like the common person would read in the Bible. So that's why when it comes to extraterrestrials, I go way into that because those are things that are still on this planet that we can go and actually verify.
Yeah.
But people are just so lazy and they listen to what media and what media tells them and
Or what they've been taught.
guide them like the sheep that they are into different directions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's your take on Sabrina? That's Anu.
Anu?
Yeah.
Anu to me, for those that don't understand, Anu to me is like God to you. You know, like I don't know if you follow on that level.
Yeah, I'm following.
But Anu is the Almighty, like the all powerful. Nothing comes from, and you can't put nothing into. It is.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, it's not a being that they try to structuralize it as. It's like energy on a level we can't even comprehend, because everything starts from energy.
Yeah.
Energy is, it cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed, and it just cannot be destroyed. Energy will always be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I look at Anu, I look at the all-powerful being as such. I don't look at it as a type of being and give it a gender or an attribute or anything to that nature.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that would be limiting other beings and species and stuff that they have out there in this world or outside of this world
Exactly.
that came from the same source. So,
But do different things.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
They're just different. Like, for instance, not for nothing,
Yeah.
but remember, our solar system is a grain of sand at a beach. Let that sit in your brain. Our solar system, I can even go even further than that.
That's facts.
Our galaxy is like it's like a grain of sand at a beach. That means there's other galaxies out there, with other solar systems out there, with other suns, which are stars that the planets are revolving around, with other Goldilocks zone, like the one that we live on. So what is that saying to you?
Isn't that crazy, yo? That's crazy. But that's real though. Like that's
Yeah.
really real. It's really real.
So when they talk about parallel universes, when they talk about anything dealing with the not so normal, I'm not saying be stupid and believe anything, but use common sense and a high degree of mathematics when you're thinking about this. It has to make sense. What I just described to you was all mathematics
Yeah.
to make something that is common sense very common. We live in a Goldilocks zone, don't we not?
Yeah.
Are there other stars out there?
Yeah.
For sure. Unless we're looking at something totally different.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother subject right there.
And
So,
in itself.
you know, yeah, that's why I said it's like, that's how we look at it.
So, okay, so you know, like, I knew,
Mhm.
and you know how, like, with different religion and stuff like that, they take the women out the equation, which
Mhm.
I think is wrong.
Mhm.
I think it, like the women plays a key part
Mhm.
into everyday life and nature and stuff like that. And learning as of this year that about Ashura, you know about Ashura.
Mhm.
That's the wife of Anu,
Anu,
right?
that's
Yeah.
correct.
And that's, I feel like that don't be talked about, like how that a guy can have a female wife
Mhm.
and how that plays a role in everything too. What's your take on that?
My take on that is, like what people don't understand, and we live in a society right now that is mostly governed by patriarch, right? And
yeah.
when you think of a patriarch system, you wonder where the matriarch is, right? But without the matriarch, you can't have a patriarch.
Right.
It will be the chicken and the egg argument going back and forth all day long.
Right.
You understand? We play a certain role in a certain society that we live in, because this society is a patriarch society, and men throughout time has done great things, and we've built so many things throughout the world, and we're still providing our services as men in this whole thing called humanity. But without women, there is no way in hell that is possible because she's the dominant gene.
Right.
We are recessive genes. Not saying we don't mean anything. Obviously, we mean something because we possess certain attributes and traits that a woman don't possess.
Right.
But if you put peer to peer, apples to apples, the traits that she has to keep humanity going supersedes us by a whole lot.
Right.
You understand? Now, for every great man, such as Anu, as we call him, and if we're going to give it an attribute, I'm saying attribute because you got different types of energy.
Yeah.
A woman's energy and a man's energy is two different energies. Yet they're still part of the main energy, which we look at as Anu or any source that people want to believe they call their God or whatever. Next to that person or being or energy, you have a different type of energy which complements it, which is the one that we call the woman.
Yeah.
Society wouldn't exist without her, so her role is just as important as ours. We have important roles, as you see. Everything is ran by men. But where does that leave the woman? You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand what role she plays, and on top of understanding what role she plays, honor her for that role that she plays.
Right.
Because as strong as you are, the nutrients come from where? Come on, as soon as you're born, where do nutrients come from?
From the breast and
Okay, who's
the placenta?
it comes from the woman.
Yeah.
Who's your first teacher?
Woman.
Okay, so if you align those things, right,
Yeah.
you get to understand that. Because there's going to come a time when, for men, I'm not saying for women is a different subject, but for men, understanding the power of a woman is understanding the power of yourself. Because you got to be able to understand your power in order to complement hers. Because hers is not going to be like yours. It ain't going to be a rat race to see who's more powerful in a relationship. There is man, and then there's woman, and there's child.
Right.
You understand? So she has to be able to show you that respect that you deserve for becoming the man that you're supposed to be for her. Because what she have is very powerful that she needs to have with that person. And that's called what? Legacy. So you need like how what Jonathan Adams was saying, Jonathan Majors was saying, you need a Coretta a Coretta Scott King next to the bar. You really need that.
And Martin to Gene.
Betty Shabazz to Malcolm X, you need that. You need that. If you don't have that, you're not going to become the great man that you're supposed to be, a well-rounded man that understand femininity and you understand masculinity. You know what I mean? And then also too, you got to play the part in raising that child, whether it be male or female. You got to contribute your portion.
Yeah.
That's the balance, and we miss that as a people. Not saying we don't have it, but you know that's the number one thing they love to talk about when it comes to us, building homes and stuff like that. It affects us all.
It really do, man.
Mm-hmm.
For like how big of a part do you think it plays? Because a lot of people, as far as like relationships and stuff like that, it's like they bypass like the structure part of like the family and like not really understanding and just getting into something. Cause you know how like it's different from like you talking to someone that is healed from certain trauma and certain things versus someone that's avoiding it and stuff like that. What's your take on like how can you can help self in a relationship so you know what to do and not to do as far as moving like something like that? What's your take on
A lot of us, especially in our community, because I could speak for other communities, but not so much because it doesn't pertain to my community. Like I could speak for my community. So from my community, a lot of us come in affected already from the jump with trauma.
Yeah.
And we don't recognize trauma like that because we come from a community where trauma is like a normal action. It's like something normal that we experience because we see it on the TV, we hear it in the music, We see it sometimes with our parents. We see it goes on. Like it's a bad thing. But in our community, it became a custom. So being that it became a custom, we don't recognize trauma as a real thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You see shit happen and it just looks normal, and you numb yourself to it, and you shouldn't be numb to nothing like that at all. Especially us as a people, because we're great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the power that we possess supersedes a lot more than what we are supposedly expected to be as. Trauma, to heal from trauma, it's probably one of the hardest things you gotta face, because part of that is holding yourself accountable in certain situations that you know for a fact you could avoid, but you became a part. You've been so used to trauma, you're ditching out trauma too on people. It could happen to sons, it could happen to fathers, it could happen to brothers, it could happen to mothers, sisters, daughters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you have trauma, it becomes a cycle, and you don't even realize you're in that cycle. So you gotta hold yourself accountable first, because you didn't realize that you was doing something that you see that your mom told you. Your mom will curse you out or tell you something that she shouldn't be talking to you that way. She should be respecting you as her child, her young man that's about to be a man, not degrading him or emasculating him.
Right.
Part of that, when that happens to you, you know what I mean? You gotta like think to yourself, how do I start? Where do I go to start healing first? You know what I'm saying? You gotta look into self, and when you start looking into self, then you gotta look for therapy. You gotta make sure when you find a therapy, the therapist, especially for me, because how I did it for myself, therapy was through me going to see somebody that was looking just like me. Because I figured they would understand better, because I've tried other races and it didn't work. They didn't understand. They make a mock of me. You know, they laugh. Or they took it lighter, because, and for some reason, in certain areas, in certain situations, they think our pain is easier to manage. Like we can manage pain. Like we don't feel pain like that, and we do. We're human. Literally, human.
Huge.
You understand? So when you're dealing with trauma like that, you gotta get therapy. Therapy has to come into play, and make sure the therapist is the right therapist. You could vent your therapist out, because this person is the person that you're gonna unveil all your trauma to from the start. Everything you saw, everything you think your mom saw or your father saw. Because whatever trauma they got, they throw that on you. And then you taking that, receiving it, and giving it to somebody else, or to a loved one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are the steps, man. And while you're doing that, stay constant in your meditation.
I like that. Right.
Think to yourself. Go to the drawing board in the back of your head. That drawing board with the whiteboard with the marker.
Even the whiteboard. Just
That's
take the
right.
whiteboard.
Take that shit to the head and start writing down. Boom, 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 boom. Word. Do that and follow that. And guess what you got to practice? Guess what you got? What do you got to practice? Discipline. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That was hard.
Yes, sir.
So, what do you think is the key to like true love?
Well, that's a good question. I can tell you the real to it.
That's what we're here for the real of everything, man.
When you think about love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love is something that can be provided to anything. Love is, you can provide love to anything. Meaning, I could love this bottle right here. I love this bottle of water. I love it. Everywhere I go, I take this water bottle because I love this water bottle. But when I say I'm in love with this water bottle, does that sound different to you? I mean, I know it literally does, but
Yeah.
Do you understand how personal this water bottle is to me at this point?
Yeah.
Because I'm in love with this water bottle.
Yeah.
That means when I say I love this water bottle, I could love any water bottle this height. Because I just love this water bottle. I love this water bottle because I like the little labels that it come with. I like it because I love this water bottle.
Yeah.
But if I'm in love with this water bottle, I'm not replacing this water bottle. I'm gonna keep this water bottle.
Yeah, that's it.
Take all the other ones, pour the water, and just keep this water bottle with me because I'm in love with it.
Yeah.
Love is a personal thing when you go into the in part of love, when you're inside of the actual meaning of love. Outside of that, you could love 1,001 things, and you could love to do a lot of it. You could love everything. You know what I mean? That's when you use that word. That's why when I talk to my daughters or my son, I tell them, like, when you think of the word love, just remember you saying the word love. Love is just, it's light work. You just throwing the word around because you could love a dog, really. You could love a cat. You know what I'm saying? You could love anything. But when you're in love with somebody, that's going to be a big difference. That's a difference maker because now it becomes a little bit more personal. You're opening up a part of the chamber of your heart to a person that you just not open up to everybody that you say you love.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I know you love a lot. You probably love the laptop you got. You probably love your phone. But when it's in love, it's a personal thing. It's a protection thing. Like, I'm in love with this. Nobody's going to get this. Not even the garbage can going to get it.
Yeah.
It's with me for life.
That's it.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference when you think of the word love, you know?
So like, I like how you put that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you feel like the do's and don'ts when it comes to you trying to grow with somebody, like build from like getting to know relationship, and then going into seeing yourself being married with that person, like to really follow through and to commit through that way.
Yeah.
What do you feel like the do's and don'ts, man?
Well, the do's and don'ts can vary because it can go from guys and for the guys, and then there's do's and don'ts for the girls. For both parties, there's got to be the main core to it all when you're starting it off is learning to build a level of communication and understanding between each other as boyfriend and girlfriends. Because once you go to husband and wife, the label changes along with the title and the feeling. The label and the title is the same thing, but you know, like there's a change in that, there's a shift in it.
Yeah.
People think that they're still husband and wife after they're married, and you are technically for a couple of years because that's the honeymoon phase. That's why they call it the honeymoon phase, because you're coming out of that la 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 land, and now you're coming into a serious thing called business, which is your marriage. And you have got to be able to know that it's going to come with the ups, the downs, the do's, the likes, and the don'ts, because you're still learning each other. And y'all are not in love with each other yet. Y'all are still loving each other. Y'all are still having that sensuality and infatuation with each other because you're still in that raw, drawn-in phase. But when the in love kind of eases it out, it smooths it out, because now we know we have an establishment that we are in love with each other, and we're going to probably ride this out for a long time.
And how long you think it takes to get to the in love part?
For me, going back, if I could look back and tell you, in love can happen anywhere from between 15 to 20 years. And that's keeping it 100.
That's the real.
Yeah. You know why? Because you need time. You need time to mature. You need time to grow. You need time to really understand your role. Like, for real. You can't just come in thinking you know your role. And what's even worse for our people, we weren't taught our roles.
Right.
You understand? Like, your father didn't sit you down and say, yo, son, this is what you're gonna have to do as a husband, and this is boom, 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 boom. And this is the respect you deserve as a husband, taking care and providing, protecting for your family. And for the young ladies, most of them, their mothers have never had that conversation with them on how to behave as a wife, how to be appealing as a wife to attract that man to want you as his wife.
Yeah, especially today, man.
It's a whole different game.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that you can't have that game. But you got to tone it down and level it out for other people to have their type of game, like a traditional marriage,
Right.
and not a modern style marriage. And when I say tradition, most people think it's like in a slave term. Oh, you're a slave to your man. No, you would have made your backbone to the marriage. I don't want to curse or nothing like that, but you know, know your role. You're still who you are. You're very powerful. You're just the wife, and he's the husband. That's what changed. That's it. Now you have to rest in your femininity and let that man be who he is in masculinity. We all jumbled up now, and some people don't even know their sexualities and stuff like that, and it's okay. You know what I mean? And some people do know. They know what direction they want to go with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you getting into marriage, there's tradition that goes with that. And it's hard to come in. What's giving us the fight is the fact that we're coming in with a modern mindset. A lot of our people have been misguided to think it's okay to be modern in a traditional marriage mindset. I'm not saying you can't have a little bit of it, because we all living in a modern society.
Yeah.
But marriage is tradition, regardless of what anybody say it is. So you got to double back, figure out if you're going to want to do this traditional role with this person for the rest of your life. Because it's going to come with a lot of things. It's going to come with good, bad. You're going to want to explore. You're going to want to have fun. You're going to want to do whatever you want to do with that person. But you have that, it's like a spiritual contract you got with that person. Because now, y'all are going to entwine. Y'all going to become like kindred spirits, literally. And you're going to feel it. So when you look at that person, and that person look at you, we don't even got to talk. And we are talking literally to each other, because we're connected on that level. But you got to understand who you are as a man, and she got to understand who she is as a woman. And that goes back to going back and seeing what went wrong and how I can fix that. And that's on both parts. It's not just the men, it's also to the women.
Right.
You know, we really need that with our sisters, because our sisters are suffering right now. And they're being misguided with a lot of information to make them feel like they're too liberated for a man. And you need a man, because a man definitely needs a woman. Let's not make a mistake about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But us as men want to feel that attraction that we still have. We don't want to lose that. And part of losing that is when a woman feels like she doesn't need a man, and a man needs purpose. Always remember that. We have purpose. And we need to find that. Hold on 1 second. I don't know. We need to have purpose. That's who we are. We're a being of purpose. Like, you see how have you ever seen the structure of how the pride works in the kingdom with the lions?
How it work?
The lion,
Oh, you talking about who the head?
the lioness.
Yeah.
The lioness go out and they hunt the food. Make no mistake, they strong. Without them, the food probably won't even be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the lion don't really.
But you know what the lion does? He doesn't do much, but you know what he does, right? He protects the legacy of the pride. He protects, because let me tell you something. In that kingdom, lions come in all day. Other lions, other lions, and they come and they rip apart the lioness's kids. And they could take over the pride if there's not a lion there to protect that pride. So that lion is very important. And you know what he does after the women catch, and they have the little babies around, little cubs? You know what he does? Once the lion eats or the lioness catch the food and it's dead and it's right there and it's ready to eat, he stands right there and makes sure that the kids eat first and not the lioness that just caught it. You know why? Because guess what he's protecting?
The legacy.
The legacy. Them little cubs ain't gonna eat up all that food. They gonna probably eat a couple of bites and stuff and they gonna walk away. The lioness eat and the lion eats. But he makes sure that they survive. That's how men are supposed to think when it comes to their family and their children.
Right.
You understand? Because you're protecting your legacy. She's a part of your legacy and they're a part of your legacy. Without her, you won't have one. It would just be a waste of time.
Right.
In some cases. especially if you bullshit.
Yeah, real talk.
I'm saying.
How long you grew your dreads, man? Antennas, man.
Yeah, I have my antenna's been around since 2000. I want to say 2017 ish. Yeah, 2017.
2017.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
How the journey on that, man? Like,
Bro, this has been a journey, man. You know, and it's been a good journey for me. When I grew my locks a long time ago, and I stopped at a time to go into the military and serve the military. And I served it for 11 years. A little over 11, well, a little over 10 years, I want to say between the two. And my hair was always bald. I was bald so much that people used to think I ain't have no hair. Like, they thought I was bald for real. Like, I had receded shit going on. And I was like, nah, you know, like, my family, they're Caribbean, so all of them, even the men, they hair grow out till they're, you know, and they're well into their old age.
yeah.
You know, and my dad and all of them, so I wasn't worried about it. But once I got out the military back in 17, I was like, all right, I'm going this shit. Because this is me. I'm going to give rebirth back to who I am and let my antennas grow out, first of all. I need them.
Yeah.
So I just started growing them, man, and kept them ever since. And hopefully they stay around until I transition.
Do you feel like cutting your locks, you think your energy would be different as far as like?
Good question. For me, it depends on, in my opinion, it depends on how strong you are when it comes to it. You know, you could either be, like a monk that has just as much power as a person with long locks when it comes to using their antennas. You could be like that, or you can be a person that, you know, grows your antennas and see where it goes with that. See how you can use your ethers, because all that is ether on top of your head.
Yeah.
You know, 9 ether. You know. So.
Yeah, because I feel like I don't think I'm cutting mine anytime soon.
Nah,
You
nah.
know?
Like I say, like this, I always tell people, you cutting your hair, you cut it for a purpose, because it was meant to grow. So cut it for a purpose.
Yeah.
Don't just cut it for the fucking cutting it. It shouldn't be cut at all, honestly, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it's connected to probably the main source, and that's your chip. That's inside that skull of yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if it's connected, then you might as well let the ethers do what they do. But if you're cutting it, then at least you know you have a purpose. So inside that purpose, you want to make sure that you're still working on your ether, working on the knowledge that you're obtaining and using your antennas. Still there. It's just very short.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're still working on your spirituality. You're still even strong. What your antenna does, it gives you that. It's like that extra security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you're receiving. You know what I mean? While it's growing out more, you're still receiving.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. I don't get mad at nobody that cut their hair like that. In my opinion, I feel there should be more meaning behind the hair cutting.
You got to.
And there should be more meaning to grow it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in your kingship, you should grow hair. You shouldn't just grow it just because it's a fad and it looks good, because now anybody could join that. I look at when you grow your locks, I look at it as it's like a passage. It's a rite of passage for me. Because
Fast, bro.
when you grow your locks, it's supposed to be treated as like a fraternity kind of like thing, like we're in a sacred group of people, and we structure ourselves this way, because when you put on Channel 5, Channel 10, or for us Channel 3,
Yeah.
gentlemen with locks most of the time, what they look like.
Like us.
And what do they look like? They look like they're going somewhere in life. Look like they did something good out there, some kind of justification, or they sitting down like what you and I are doing talking, or they look like what they always show is to look like that 5 seconds of fame.
Right.
So it gives a bad image to when you grow all this antenna coming out of your head. You walk around and people think they put you in a pocket when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
The character is what should stand out more than anything, but
Actually.
we don't live in that world.
I share.
Yeah.
Real talk. And character, man, it's like now these days that's another thing that's not it's not being upheld within the
We
youth
lost that.
and generation, man. We lost that big time with a lot of stuff we
Well,
see.
we stepped into an age called non-morality. I said that to a couple of people before in the
What is that?
conversation. Non-morality.
Non-morality.
I know I made it. And I told them, I said, listen, that's my definition. I made that. All right. I don't want nobody taking that. Non-morality meaning there's no morals. It's just simple. Non-morals. You know, there's no morals. If we have morals as a people, we will be a lot more. We have a lot more integrity in how we move, and we'll be able to talk to our children. Because your child is my child, right?
Yeah.
My child is your child, and we'll be able to talk to each other's child like we ain't miss a beat. We can't do that no more. We don't have it
Everybody
where we
missing
can.
beats.
Yo, we all missing the beat.
Everybody missing.
Misstepping. Cause I can't talk to your child a certain way because I don't know how your child gonna respond to me. And some of these kids out here, they could be 9, 10, 11, 12, so 8 years old, 7, whatever, and they carrying guns, man.
Right.
You can't even say, yo, young man, you should not be carrying that.
We ain't got no OGs no more, man.
None.
It's wild. It's real wild, man. It's crazy. Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed.
Sorry about
I've
that.
been noticing that. Like, there's not those older cats that really, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk to the youth and just, you know what I'm saying? Be there, kick game. You got your few, you know what I'm saying, on the internet, but I'm like really saying like on the porch type deal. Like,
They ain't going. You're not gonna have those no more. Those don't exist no more because a lot of times you got those OGs out there that they're done. They don't want to say nothing no more. They know where it's gonna go. See, back in the day, it was a little bit more easier as an OG to talk to a young guy because the young cat, in all essence, he could see right into him. He could see a little bit of him in that man, in that young man growing up. A lot of these OGs can't connect and see themselves in that person because this is a whole nother generation with a whole nother wavelength and a whole nother vibration. And the way they're moving is so different that the power in that alone is quite crazy. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you gotta be able to shadow. It's like shadow boxing with the kids. You gotta like see where their temperature at before you decide to go out of whack, and you know what I mean, and get yourself involved in something with them, especially if you're trying to help them.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like with today, where you see like, do you even see like it's possible to bring unity with at least within the black community? Do you think?
You want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
In my honest opinion, I don't know if there's a possibility that can happen. I want to have faith that it would, because the energy would be beautiful. I mean, it would be like nothing on this planet has ever seen. But the forces that we have and even some of the forces come from our own people. It doesn't matter where you come from. It don't even matter what country you come from. Our own people. They don't sacrifice for the greater good of the bigger amount of us as a people. Meaning they're not willing to take that money under the table or stab that person in the back because money was a bigger priority for them instead of keeping it 100 with our people,
Right.
and not sell off their soul or sell themselves to that.
Right.
We come from a situation where a lot of us were impoverished, man, like bad. You know what I'm saying? And because we were impoverished bad, and we come from a really messed up situation, we'd be willing to take that money. Like, hell yeah, I'll take that money. Get me out of my people up out of the hood. What?
And I feel like that's why you see all these new celebrities now, all these young celebrities getting all this money in the game and not realizing what they getting themselves into until they in there. I definitely see like that's really why like anybody willing to like take that risk to like
Yeah. So it for me is when you ask that question, I honestly tell you I don't see it happening. I really don't see it happen. And when I say I don't see it happen, I don't mean just African Americans. I mean like us as an African diaspora. I don't see it happening. Do I see it being one of the biggest Voltrons that there is? Hell yeah. We could form like a Voltron. Like we can literally have a head, arm, legs, and body. Like I always say to people, Africa shouldn't be called a continent. That whole fucking area over there should be called a country. It should be the United States of Africa. And all them other countries that they divided, that should be states with governors instead of presidents. And have one true president or leader running the whole entire freaking continent. You understand? And put that Swahili language in play. So all of them have a universal language. Like we all got our own little slang for every little state. They got their own little language, but we all speak American, right? So Swahili should be the whole thing. That's what I feel.
Israel ain't going for that.
No.
Today is not going for
You know
that.
they run most of that.
Yeah, no cap.
They run most of
Like,
that.
No cap.
They got a lot of, they got their nails in there
Yeah.
big time, but that's another story for another day.
Real talk.
For real.
But it's like, I don't know, you don't think like it could ever happen. Well, I feel like we'll have to take like some real massive, like probably like an invasion.
Yeah, people have to die. Damn near most people, especially most of us that are religious, are afraid to die. Nobody know about real sacrifices. Our ancestors do know what real sacrifices is, but a lot of us here, standing in today's form, we don't know what real sacrifices is for. See, they were more connected with the ancestral realm, and they knew more or less what's going to happen once their flesh falls off their body. Us, we still in the Goldilocks zone. Like we still feel free to feel what we want to feel.
Right.
Like
we still
all black folks we should all be having one standard way of living and one standard belief or one standard knowledge of knowing of self. But we got all kinds of different you, who's, this person, that monk. Everybody's different, and we all have melanin.
Right.
Come on, man. So if you're gonna have that, you're gonna have chaos always, and that's the core. If you can't get that straight, you can't get us straight as a people. Because we have to have one belief system, and once we have one belief system, we die by that system, and we live by that system.
So, do you think that's why we definitely have like multiple belief systems? Like
Say it again?
different religion. I feel like that's why we got different religions.
Yeah, religion is something that was put in there mainly to. It was to set a divide. Religion has always been one of the core things, especially when it's being wielded the wrong way to divide. Just look back. Anytime you're trying to go into some kind of a battle, especially back in those days when you had war, like straight up and down, hand-to-hand combat, not the shit we do today. It was in the name of God they did get that by.
Yeah.
You understand? That's
That-
religion. They, in their mind, their God was the best God. They didn't care about what you believe in. But if they could send some of their religious people to try to sway you, to make you believe that, listen, this is gonna happen if you don't do this, and you could fall for that, it's easy. Especially if I'm coming with something you ain't never seen before.
Right.
Look at what they did to Africa. Africa had a culture. It was a culture. You could call it religion if you want, but it was a culture. It was a belief system that they literally lived by. And it got broken up. You over here, I'm over here. You know what I'm saying? You believe in that, I believe in this, that, and the other.
So the God that they talk about, do you believe it's a different type of God that they talking about when they saying that?
Who?
Like they have like on the dollar, they got
Well, the
God we
the
trust,
God we trust.
and all this, knowing that's like a Mason or Masonic dollar right there, and like they have like different lords, like lords of Bow, I think I'm saying it right, or you know what I'm saying, like different lords or gods. What do you think about that? Like, do you think like the God they talking about is not the God we think they talking about?
Well, when you think about God, and then you think about the God that they talk about, do you think do those two sound like they connect? The God you thinking about and the God that they're talking about on the dollar bill, do you think those two connect? See, one would say yes, right?
Yeah.
But another would say no, obviously, right?
Yeah.
They both connect. It's no different. What language you speak, brother?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say I speak English, but
No,
I know-
hey, that's your first answer to
Yeah.
go with. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be the right answer.
Yeah.
Speak English. So if you speak in English, you speak in that language, you're gonna go by what they teach you God is. You're reading the Bible in English, you ain't reading in Hebrew. I know that much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying people don't read it in Hebrew. People do. People go and they do their research. A lot of religious leaders, in order for them to even get indoctrinated, they gotta go back to the source. What they teaching you might be a little something different,
Yeah.
but they know the real. A good majority of them pastors know the real to real. It's just a game. It's a money-making business. They know how the power of the tongue, bro. If I could talk a well out of water, I would.
Yeah.
So when you talk about connecting the dollar bill to the God that they serve, you believe it or not, people don't realize they're serving the same thing. Do you see how powerful that word and that piece of paper that it's on is to this place that we live in? You need that to do everything.
All right. So if that's so, like, far as like is all the same, but in these day of times they have this money system. Was there a money system in the Egyptian time?
There's currency. I mean, different
Right.
type of system. It was like I mean, shit. You could say it was like bartering at some point.
Okay,
right?
bartering.
Right, but now did they have a treasury and they had all that going on?
But it wasn't like they was labeling themselves as like, I'm on this currency, move this around for years and years and years, years and years type deal.
They evolved.
But you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to this system, this Masonic type of way of going about everything, you have dead presidents, you have these different codes on the freaking bill.
On the bill, right.
You know what I'm saying? All these different things on just a bill that's moving around that we don't necessarily know. Just because, okay, yeah, I'm spending this, but what am I really spending? If that makes sense. Because it's not, because as much as we want to make it seem it's just a dollar, but obviously it's more than just a dollar.
Yeah, it has meaning.
That, you know what I'm saying?
Everything around you has meaning.
Exactly.
The bill does have meaning on it. On a few of the bills, it's not just a dollar bill.
Exactly.
You got the $20 bill. You also have the $5 bill. There's a $2 bill, and I believe the old school $20 bill is the one that had the most messages on it. And I'm trying to remember, maybe the 10. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I think.
But I believe they stopped right there. They also do it on the coins too. So yeah, the use of that. First of all, that alone tells you there's a system within a system. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Mason's literally a system inside of another system.
Yeah.
They're the important people that nobody really know about like that, or very few know.
Yeah.
And they run the system.
So you know how like they like they kind of took that from the Egyptians.
Yeah, because it did come from there.
That's where originally, you know what I'm saying. But they weren't moving like how they was moving though. Is where I'm getting at. It's like,
well, a little yes and a little no to that, because they studied their Masons that we know as of that go to the 33rd, and they go out there and they do their pilgrimage and stuff like that. Those people are the ones that actually understand how the whole system worked with Egypt in those times, because they're sacred information that they read and they draw from in order for them to know how to run their own society. The greatest city ever built was Egypt. One of the, I'm not gonna say it's the, I'll take that back because there's gonna be so many arguments about other ones, but one of the greatest structures that we've seen in modern time that was of the ancient is Egypt. It's unmatched as I see it, because I will argue that to anybody to the point. It's unmatched. But in order for them to learn how to run the system, they got to draw it from somewhere. You know what I mean? Because some of that stuff is still coming from who? Us. Because we're the ones who made the system what it is. That's us. That's why they always have this argument about who's originally Egyptian. No, it's literally us. It's just you've been stealing from us for so long, you don't realize in order for this society to run, you still got to go by our blueprint.
Yeah.
That's all.
But in those times, like, we was bartering. We wasn't this creed and get this, do that type of thing. So it was like, you can see the difference in how to really run a powerful dynasty versus someone that's trying to get you over. That's like basically how you can see, because in Egyptian times you can see like it was dynasties of like thriving, like ain't no regular you know what I'm saying, country that just building off something, like, but we was on to something. You know what I'm saying?
They were large too.
Real large. And it's like, even when we was tapped in with the extraterrestrials, like ourselves, now it's like they had stolen our legacy and what's been going on and made it to their own thing and made it to this whole corrupt thing. You feel me?
Well, I don't know. I can't. So let's look at it like this, right? the system has its corruption. Yes, it does, right? But throughout time, there's never been a system that don't have corruption in it. Even in Egypt, Egypt had
Really?
corruption. Yeah, they did. There was corruption in Egypt. There's corruption in probably every city you could think of. It's gonna have some kind of issue. It depends on how magnified the issue is and who's paying attention at the time. I mean, look at Genghis Khan. He had like that man killed off damn near, I think, was a third of the world. Or what, a piece. I mean, I can't remember how the percentage, but he was really on. And he was a dynasty. He was more so a legacy, really. But he's done so much for his people, but yet still, on the flip side of things, he had a lot of messed up ways about him. And I think even with you would say the same. One would say the same for like certain pharaohs and how they ruled. You know, people had their complaints about how they ruled. People had their complaints about them not treating their people properly. And then another one had to come and take over, or another one had to overthrow that one. Like things like that happen in Egypt as well. Here in the system that we live in, we're just another product of what happened in olden days as far as being under a rulership.
Yeah.
Now, we're just not used to being under a rulership that's not of our own. In every dynasty, you had rulerships. You had slaves. Egypt had slaves. They enslaved their own people. But it was how you was treating your slaves is the question. What was really a slave back then for them? You know, certain cultures, slaves was me taking over your village, and now you change your name to my name, because that territory is now my territory. And you have to be servitude to me, not me hanging you, not me putting you in chains, not me beating the shit out of you continuously and having all these different kind of devices on you, or torturing you, or ripping you apart from, you know, like having sex farms, and that's a different type of slavery. You know what I mean? But those things existed in those days too. Like, not what I just said, but I'm talking about having slaves, having people that serve you in a form that would be considered slavery.
Yeah.
You know, but they had their good and their bads as well. I mean, they're probably one of the most predominantly by now well-known historical cities ever, or places ever. But they had their good and their bads as well. Same shit.
What's your take with Aten and Nefertiti?
So what do you mean, like as far as Nefertiti go?
Like that couple
The relationship?
with that whole ruling for real, like them running that dynasty at that time, and how they put in play that one.
With the
one
passports
God.
and all that? You're talking about, implementing the one God, because he did do that. And he also implemented passports. Because at that time, there was an influx of Greeks coming in. And he got rid of passports, excuse me. Then before, you had passports to get into Egypt. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
You had a passport system. And during the dynasty of Akhenaten, the passport system got scratched out. The whole believing in gods concept became believing in one God. And that kind of set the pace for the destruction of the dynasties. Because
what having like the one God, or
yeah, having the one God. What made dynasties was the fact that they understand they're true gods. That's why they were gods that exist, not God. Not even in the Bible, it's God. It's gods. You understand? They understood the true method of worship. That one God concept, it was really, to me, it was more of a selfish way of viewing things, because it was more like one God. That's it. Worshiping one. And it made it a little bit more lazier too, because now you got to do, instead of you going to do your footwork to go find out about these different gods, you only got to believe in one. That's it. It doesn't. I mean, how easy is that? Like, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know how many gods out there that exist?
That's facts, bro.
Like, come on.
That's facts.
So by doing that, it changes the spectrum. But what happened with Akhenaten? What he didn't realize is by doing that and also to getting rid of passports, it changed the game now. They get gentrified. That's why the faces started changing in Egypt. You started seeing more than Mediterranean looking tombs. The faces, they started looking more Greek mix, Roman mix with Latin mix with the Egyptians. They sitting right there by the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, and plus they were already having people cycling through and in and out of Egypt to go to school, because Egypt was one of the first places to have universities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they would come there and study. Generals, you name them. They went there to study. They went there to learn. Socrates, all of them, they went there to learn. So when you have that kind of system running, and then you get rid of the passport, what do you think? What do you think happened to Egypt after that? It got gentrified. Information got construed, and that's why we sit here today fighting over who's the real Egyptian, black, white, whatever the fuck. That's how you destroy a city, is by gentrifying it. Let that sit in your brain, because gentrifying is not just a just come thing. It's always being done throughout history. We just give it a title now.
Right.
But think about when they get rid of passports and they just let you come in. What's going on right now?
In Texas.
And I'll stop right there.
Yeah.
It's not just in Texas, New York, Detroit.
Yeah.
And there's no knocking, because people need asylum. That might be a real thing. But there's people that work hard to come here, and they had to go through to get here, the proper channels.
Yeah.
And not saying some ain't gonna get in, because some gonna get in. That's in any country.
Yeah.
But you don't open the floodgate like wide open and tell them all come in, because that Akhenaten story is a real story.
It is.
And that shit can repeat itself again.
And do you feel like that's what's going on?
And was Egypt a great empire?
Yeah.
Roman was one too. What happened to both of them?
It failed.
Okay. So when you see that starting to happen, that's what they call the beginning of the what?
Yo. Oh, because it hit me now. Because it's like, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
It's
You're
really
living in real time. That's why it's called the awakening. Okay?
My God. Yo,
Sir.
that's crazy. It's definitely like another repeated like cycle of that.
What did they say about the sun? Nothing is new under the what?
The sun, fact, yeah. Especially you don't know your history or.
That's why history is important.
Yeah.
I went to school. I graduated from NSU, and I had an undergrad there. I had my bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies with a minor in African history and history.
Wow.
And psychology. So history is my favorite thing, because history always does what? Repeats itself. That's why I love history, because the factuation of seeing certain things that I read before unravel itself in real time, it's just the most fascinating thing for me to see. And that's why I always live by that phrase, it's a good time to be alive. And people that wish they could see what the fuck we're seeing right now. I got relatives that wish they could see a screen this flat. I got relatives that wish they could see a car drive itself. We living in a whole different time, so it's a great time to be alive. We're now we used to watch the whole extraterrestrial shit on TV all day long. Now all of a sudden, the whistle blown is blown off the lid. Goddamn,
It's everywhere.
the
They're
Navy
everywhere.
now is in Congress talking about it. They got videos. They got all this stuff now. In the time that we are alive,
Yeah.
I always tell people like, this is the greatest time to be alive. Bless you. This is the greatest time to be alive because think about life. Us. We only been around but for so long as a race of beings. And that's just a tiny little fucking Miller blink in the eye of the universe. There's beings that's been here for millions of years, like dinosaurs, like whatever other special
Turtles,
beings
yeah.
that were here. You understand? That
Yeah.
served their time. And they lived for millions of years, bro. Millions of years. We're trying to survive a whole fucking 100 years half the time, but they've been around for millions. That means they had to go past 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20, and still didn't get to 1,000,000 yet. You understand what I'm saying? So when you got beings like that, and they lived a long time, think about how fortunate you are to be here in this moment of time called life. You started off racing against other forms of life to get here, hitting the embryo,
Yeah.
and then becoming a part of existence. Because once you become a part of existence, now that's a whole nother race of fighting you got to do.
That's a whole different ballgame. Cause
Some people, some beings, some entities did not make it. They got turned around. As soon as you hit the doorway and you got in, everybody else, thousands of them coming, had to turn around and get expunged.
let that sit in.
And I can't even, because technically it's millions of them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep the mathematics to the side on this one. But I'm just saying to you that you couldn't be here. You could possibly not have been here to witness this shit going on.
Okay. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I shit.
So it's a fortunate time to be alive, man. Because you heard. And you could have been in those people that didn't get to see shit. But you're here in that moment when you're seeing half of the stuff that people have spoke about thousands of years ago just repeat itself over. That's wild. To me, when I sit down and I meditate on that, that's when you hit your chakras. That shit is wild because you feel it. You know what I'm saying? And then the more you give praises to the real people you should be praying to, which is your ancestors, the more they reveal to you through DNA and in vision. Astral projection wise too, of what reality really looks like for you, who you are and how you became and where you're going, even after you leave this transitional stage of what we call this density level of life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop there. I could go deep into this shit.
Let's
but
talk about that.
We could leave it
Praying to the ancestors. Let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk more about that. Because I want to be more into that. Not saying that I don't. It's just I don't. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm in the mix of like I just like really got into Anu and Ashura. Diving deep with that, but also with my altar, sometimes I give libations. I give libations
as you should.
for the ancestors, those who weren't here, and many of my family and stuff like that that have passed. I do something like that. But what is what you were saying? Like you should really be praying to the ancestors. Like what do you mean by that?
So your ancestors, whether they are of your mother's maternal side or your paternal side, you try to include both in your meditation and in your prayer. Our people weren't given the opportunity in most cases to learn about our ancestors and their story. In most cases, I'm not saying in all. Some people are fortunate enough to have ancestors that are still around that can pass down, that they're living, they're like 102, 3, and they're able to give you stories,
Right.
tradition, things to pass down. You know, like, yeah, I'm about to get ice cold with it. That's when the lights went out. Like, let's go. Let's tell this story for real. But you know, it's one of those things where, like, I'll give you a story about me. What I do. I made a family tree, right? And the reason why I made my family tree because I know my ancestors exist, and I could feel them inside of me every time I breathe. Every time I walk, talk, and even when I'm alone, just in my own essence, I can feel them around me. I can feel them giving me some kind of intuition or advice. And the advice don't have to be vocally. Advice can translate through energy. You understand? So they're not gone. They are around us, and they are paying attention to how we structure our energy. Because eventually, we got to join that realm. So what are you going to do? Stay stuck in purgatory, trying to figure out how to move around throughout this universe? Or are you going to be able to uplift yourself to join your ancestors and know how to evolve and move around in that realm of existence? Because we just transform. This doesn't stop. It looks like it stops for us at this level, but this is just a level. Like, when you were just a sperm cell, you was a type of level. You went from that to being on this density. And when you leave this density, that's when that whole thing that you call the spirit becomes born. Because in order for something to happen, it has to free itself from something else, right?
Yeah.
As an egg, you gotta free yourself off that shell. That's your shell, bro. That's all that is. So when you communicating with your ancestors are the ones that's giving you that driving force if you're in tune with them. Because you gotta be humble enough to understand who your ancestors are and do the research. Like I spoke to my aunts. They didn't want to talk about a lot of shit, but they had to give me some stories. I need to know, I need to build a personality in the physical realm so I can at least try to reach out, because I know I feel them, but I want to reach out and hear their story when they were alive, what they used to do. I've gotten so many recipes from my damn aunts and from my ancestors that they got from their ancestors, their mom, their grandmother, and so on and so forth. And I've gotten building ways of how to build things and farm from my father's side, from the paternal, how to be able to go out and structure what you're doing when you're doing agriculture. Yeah. You understand? So when you're trying to connect to your ancestors, you got to keep it real with yourself. Are you ready to deal with that weight? Because it's a weight, because now you're going to take on their story. And when you take on their story, you're going to take on the energy that came with their story. And how are you going to be? Because there's many nights, man, I broke down, bro. Because not only for being grateful that I'm here to even be able to read this stuff and see it, but to understand this is what they went through and they so strong because I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made me connect more with my ancestors and want to reach out to the ones before them. Because I know they don't have a true story. They don't got paper. Niggas wasn't doing none of that back then. They were just doing the normal thing. Farming. Making sure that stuff is ran properly. Now, nobody sat down and wrote books. We passed through vocals.
Yeah.
That's how our stories got passed. It's through the vocals. And my father and his father and all of them, I realized that they are all men of great stature. My father's a Mason. His father. Those are men of studies. Like they do serious studying. Like we take shit serious. I'm just a little bit different. I didn't go the Mason route, but my knowledge is on some other shit.
I feel like that, me too. But how you feel about Masons? Do you feel like they here for a greater cause, or it's like
I don't have no ill will to like I said, my father's a Mason, his father, so I don't have anything towards, no ill will towards Masons. As a matter of fact, I would like to learn some more about Masonry because my father was in it, and some of the things that he talks about or little gems that he dropped, I know where it's coming from. So it sparks curiosity, but I have my gripes about masonry too, you know, like, and depending on where it comes from, like, you know, the sources and who and what kind of mason are you, because there's types of masons out there too.
Yeah.
You know, I know with all of them that they all establish the fact that if you're a mason, you got to try to work with that person the best way you can as a brother, like helping you out because I know you're a mason, but that can go but so far if it goes into race too, because I don't mean they're gonna treat me equal to the next man because I'm a mason. So
Right.
there's gripes that go with it. I think it's been a little bit tainted because anybody could be a mason now. There's no real shit that you should be put through. Like when I spoke to my dad said like the newer masons are not like the old school masons. The old school masons, you gotta really work. You had to put up with a lot of shit as far as gaining knowledge is concerned in order for you to be even recommended to be a part of the masons. These guys here, a lot of them just jump in like it's like Skittles, man.
Yeah,
Like, everybody's a mason.
I heard you can pay your way in.
You can pay your way in. That's not being a true mason. Masons, they thrive off of knowledge. You know, they're the ones that are the constructors of society. Believe it or not, they're the guys. They're the architects. That's why you see the symbol. They're architects. Like, they're very intelligent. So you gotta. It goes by learning knowledge. The ones that read, because not everybody. Now I'm telling you, not every mason is intelligent, but the ones that are actually about that masonry, those are the ones that you give the most respect to. And those are the ones that I respect. Just like if it was another shrine or some other kind of form of fraternity or something like that, I respect all of them. I just feel like when it comes down to knowledge and you got to go through the facts, that's when things change and everybody have their agreements of disagreement or agree to disagree. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to say in person, man, I appreciate you put me on Dr. Malachi York again, once again, man. 'Cause like, especially last year going 2023, man, I read a lot of his books, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it had brought me a light to a lot of things. That's what led me to read more about or studying Anu, and then learning about Ashura, and then getting into what's else? He got this other book. It speaks on the roles that different women play as queens and different deities like Ashura, not Ashura, but how you say it? Ashun. Yeah, all the other ones and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, I've definitely been reading a lot. Because it took me some time. It's crazy because when you gave me the book, it wasn't like I read it right away type of thing. It was just like, it was just around.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think like a year ago, that's when I was like, let me get back into it, and really got into it. And then as I was getting into it, then I just started coming across more books of his like that. And I'm like, dang. So bro put me, I'm like, bro had this book the whole time that could have been led me to all these rest of the books. And I just was just letting this like sit type thing. Cause it was like at first when I had it, it was like I was kind of understanding, but it didn't really hit until like this past year that passed. And I'm like, dang, this is crazy. Like, the gym was here the whole time like this.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, it's been right in front of my face the whole time. And it's like, led me to all that I needed to know. And it just,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yo, look, man, I started my journey into knowledge, just seeking knowledge for self at 16. And I was very religious when I was younger. I was super, like, not super duper Christian, but I was Christian. Like African kind of bound, African Caribbean type based Christian. And we practiced We practice tradition of the African culture of whatever. Like maybe I'll say more of a Nigerian type culture, like you. I want to say Ifa. You know what I mean? And we would practice that.
Ifa.
Yeah. You know, like it would be more of a spiritual practice where we would try to mix God in with it. And always in my mind, I used to always say, "Damn, like I see God. When I see God, especially back then in your household, it was more of a white image of Jesus and shit. And it used to bother me, like, why are we doing all of this that's African based? You know what I mean? It looks very, very African based. The hair wrap, the everything, and the chants and the drum beating and everything when we praising Jesus. We bypassed all of our ancestors. I used to always think that shit. It used to always bother me. Like I said, I felt like I was there, but I wasn't there because who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. and if this is the son of the main guy, who is God, why I don't look like him? You know, and it stuck with me through time. And growing up, I just said I'm just going to seek more knowledge, because the number one thing to spark knowledge is that the most powerful symbol in the world is the question mark. Because if you don't question, you will never know. You just sit there void. You know what I'm saying? So I had to like put myself in a position where now I got to start questioning everything I look at and what I've been taught. What is this? What is that? And while I was going through that stage, shout out to my god sister, Tanisha. She kind of gave me a book, and it was called 2000 and What to Expect. I was in high school around that time, right? And this is now, mind you, this is in 1994. 1994. Wow. Talking about 2000 and What to Expect. And I open that book and I'm reading, I'm like, man, this is some interesting shit. How are you saying all this stuff like this nigga? Like he really knows exactly what's gonna happen. But every paragraph that he had, what drew me to read what he was talking about was the fact that he will lead you back to the Bible. Because you know a lot of black people are religious people. And then you can coincide the two together. So once you can coincide the two together, it drums up a whole new thought. Like, let me pause that right quick. That's my little man calling me. Anyway, when you put those two things together, now you're thinking to yourself, all right, so I'm seeing what it's saying in the Bible that this is going to take place. And how do I know it's going to take place? Because I saw it happen. You know, in, hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. Watch. Go ahead. So, what made me get more involved into it is the fact that I was reading it, and then I coincided with the Bible because I was mostly into religion at that time. Yeah. I was a Christian.
So you said who was the author of this book?
But Dr. Malachi Z. York.
Oh, this okay.
This is his book.
And you
2000 and What to Expect.
Wow.
It might not even be out in print. You might not even be able to find that, but you type that in, you will see it. And then the Book of Leviathan. I think it's called the Book of Leviathan. Leviathan, I think. With the 3-head dragons, and yeah, like this is old school, man. This is like old school stuff.
Cause I grabbed. Is this one like that?
Nah, I don't. Let me see.
Like that?
No.
Oh, this.
That's not it. That's not it. So there was a time, right? that when I was reading it, I was starting to see, he was basically breaking down the fact that in after the year 2000, we're going to start having computers that are going to be pretty much, the internet is gonna be such a sensation that it's going to draw people into it, and people are going to become infatuated with the computer system, that they're going to become addicts of the computer wave, like, and what we can par with that would be social media. He broke down like different, it's so much stuff. I can't even remember half of what was in there, but it drew me so much that it made me want to read more books.
Yeah.
See, that is what you felt is the same thing I felt when I first started with him.
That book. Yeah.
But then I also had questions about God, because I was still struggling in my mind, like trying to find my medium to say, all right, so if this is God and we're talking about religion, where can I find my balance? Because I'm still this person here struggling to even understand if God is a white man or a black man or whatever the hell he is. I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is what my mom and my family showed me.
Yeah.
After a while, what happened is that when I started reading more, the next book that got me officially was the book called Who is God? Look that book up. He wrote it by Dr. Malachi Zero, Who is God? When I read that book was a 101.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
300, and another one was 360 Degrees to Ask a Christian. That's another one, because I'm Christian. So I wanted to find out at that point in time, the questions that I might be having in my head about God, can I find that in there? And sure enough, I could. I found it all in there. I found a lot of questions I had in there. So he had this tab in Brooklyn called the Holy Tabernacle, where you can go there and you can ask questions and find out, you have any curiosities, and you're curious about the God, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He would have people that used to study with him and work for him, do the question and answer class, Q&As, every Sunday, Q&A. I used to go there. I remember seeing Prodigy from Mobb Deep. He went there, and
R.I.P. to Prodigy, man.
yeah, shout out to Prodigy, man. Rest in peace too. And he studied under Dr. Malachi Zero too as well.
Yeah.
And I believe also too Music Soul Child knew him.
So you seen Malachi York?
Yeah.
In person?
Hell yeah.
How was that experience, bro?
That experience is something different, bro. When I say that, I mean it's something totally different, because
Like
so here's how this happened, right? When I met him, and it wasn't even like a real meet, because I was part of the whole the people that studied under him. I was like another soldier of his, because when you see your general and you're a soldier, but you see your general, you don't get to actually like shake hands and talk with him, but you know your general because he came in front of you and he was speaking and you was there. I knew his right hands, like I studied under one of his right hands, and people that he actually had, dealings with, that was one of his scholars, his teachers, those people that was around him, a lot of them were good people, you know what I mean? And I stayed at the White Plains in the Bronx. They had a Holy Tabernacle up there, and I stayed there, and I was part of the tab. Like I was a Nuwaubian, a full-on Nuwaubian, and I was studying to be part of the fraternity, which is the AEO, the Ancient Egyptian Order. It was an experience, bro. Like it was like I felt like Master Killer in the Kung Fu flicks, where he had to go through all the different chambers to be able to become that, to go to the 36th chamber to form his own chamber. That's how I felt when it came to knowledge, because he put us through a lot of rigorous schools of knowledge to study under. You had the Ansar Law days, you had the Nuwaubian days, you had the Ancient Egyptian Order days. We had books like study on how to deal with 5%ers, how to talk to Buddhists, any religion you could possibly think of. He had books concerning that for us to learn how to propagate and talk to them and build with them and possibly teach them things that they might not know that we actually know about. Because when you're dealing with the type of knowledge that he was on, it was the knowledge of sound right reasoning.
Yeah.
Meaning that you're learning 360 degrees physical knowledge, 360 degrees spiritual knowledge, and then 720 degrees of it all put together that makes you the supreme being that you're supposed to be. So you had to take schooling serious. I was young. I didn't take schooling as serious as I should have with him. But at the time, I learned a lot. And I used to go out there and sell books and everything. You know how hard it is to sell books to a person?
Man, what?
I was making 500 and change a day doing that.
Going in.
And I had to talk a lot. I had to teach a lot. I had to sit, you know, like really go back and forth with Israelites and all that. I was doing the thing because at the time I was young, very sharp in the brain, and I was about teaching my people. I wanted you to walk away with something. Even if you didn't buy a book, at least you walked away with something that sparked your DNA, that you're gonna think about what I said from here on out. So when I talk about God, when I talk about the devil, when I talk about Buddha, when I talk about Allah, when I talk about Muhammad, any of those people, anything you want to talk about, I had to be well versed in it. You know, my skill ain't as sharp as it was when I was younger, but that opened up that part of my body and that part of my brain and in my chakras for me to really elevate my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know, so when I finally got to go to the land, which was in Eatonton, Georgia.
You went to it?
Yeah, I was there.
Wow, man.
I was there, bro.
So
I did pilgrimage and everything there.
You took any pictures when you was there?
I had probably one picture. I don't even know where the fuck that picture is, but I had one picture, and that, I mean, I was like 17 to 18-ish. I mean, that's a long time, bro. If we had this, I'd have had a lot of that. You know, it had to be the luck of the draw because somebody had one of them little disposable cameras, and they did give out, and I had one, but I don't know where that picture at. Yeah. But yeah, I was there, bro.
How was that? Like, how long you was there for? Was that like you was there for like just to visit and peep the jank out, or you was actually there to?
I didn't live there. I lived in the time in New York. I didn't live there. I went there for Savior's Day. I went there like, you know, when they're having an event or something like that, I would be there, you know, and keep bear in mind, I was still a young guy, so I just traveled. I didn't care, you know what I mean? And I was in search of knowledge, so, and I knew I felt like this was a movement. I felt like we finally got black people together to finally do something. This man has acres of fucking land that he's putting a whole pyramid on. Or 3 pyramids he built. And on top of that, he's building a land for people to thrive on that looks like me. I was ready to go. Like, I was ready to, wherever he needed me to be, I was going to be there. If he wanted me to be in New York and go out there and propagate and spread the word, I was going to do it. If he wanted me to go over here, I was going to do whatever it is, because every time I sat down and I did my reading and I did my meditation, because we had to also pray too. We prayed like, I think 3 or 4 times a day, I think it was. We did the same thing that Muslims do. Prayed on the carpet and everything.
That's how he was doing it too?
Yeah, he was doing it. He was running it like that.
Like it was like the Muslim way, or?
It was kind of, because it all entwines. That's why it was like that, but that's Egyptian. They got that from Egypt. That whole prayer system, yes, that came from Egypt. That's how that was ran back in those days.
So, how he was going about it, it wasn't like necessarily like you gotta speak Arabic and do the whole.
But he'll rather you be well versed in it in case you have to get into a not a debate, but into in a conversation with one, and you want to be sharp and versed in it, because you want to deal with facts when you're dealing with right knowledge. Like, you want to deal with facts. You don't want to. It's cool to talk about belief, but anybody could believe anything. Like, I could believe right now you got on no underwear and just pants. You just straight balling it.
Yeah.
But no one would know unless they do the due diligence and do the research and get the facts behind it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're dealing with Dr. York and the Nuwapian Nation and the movement. That's what that dealt with. It dealt with straight facts. You want to be able to dig deep and have those uncomfortable conversations with people, especially when it comes to your soul, when it comes to spirituality and all that shit.
So with that, what like how was he teaching? What he was teaching to pray to? Like was it like Allah or was it Anu? Cause I know
Anu.
Okay.
I knew all day.
So
See, when Dr. York was talking about Allah, he was talking about that during the Ansar Allah days. Like that's when he was, you know, that's when he was coming off of that cusp of Islam. You know what I mean? Because that's part of his culture. That's who he is as well.
Yeah.
He's all of that. You know what I mean? And what makes him so supreme in his knowledge is that he's a little bit of everything we read about. He just look at it from a supreme standpoint to give you the right knowledge about everything we read about. You got to be a really good teacher to be able to break things down and not make it sound so confusing. He could break things down from a baby, like to a baby, straight up to a goddamn super adult. It's just it's an art. It's an art, and he had it. Oh, he still. I mean, I don't know if he still got it because they got him locked away. But
yeah.
you know.
So when they do the how what you call it when they pray again when the Muslims pray?
What we did, we used beads, 99 beads for the 99 prayers that we do, and we did the carpet. We were on the carpet. We did our salat, and it was not the same way because we were speaking differently. We were talking differently, and not only that, I'm trying to break it down the best way I can for you. We also, for us, we had the Om chant in the background.
Okay.
We will do that, and we do our different prayers while we're using our tone. And we find, first of all, we have to find what tone suits us, and what tone fits us as spiritual beings, and we used it, you know. But
so it wasn't like y'all had something to cite, like
yeah,
to
we
Anu?
had a lot to recite to Anu, and El Kalum. El Kalum is the all, and Anu El Kalum. El Kalum, the all. That's what that means. We don't. It wasn't, the prayer wasn't like how y'all, like how, you know, not y'all, but like how your normal person prays.
Yeah, that's
It
what
wasn't a needy prayer. We don't do no needy praise. Like, I want you to please pray for this, you know, for me to get this, da da da. It was a standard structure of just giving thanks. That's it. Thank you for this, thank you for that, and we'll keep it moving, because pilgrimage and prayers is just thinking. That's all you're doing is thinking. Remember, we're here in a moment of time. Like, we're here in a little bleep of time. We're actually sitting in the midst of that. This whole thing that we call life. We're sitting in that little piece right there. Like, you know, this is all happening right now in real time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you know, and it couldn't be at the same time. You know, because when you step outside of this, we don't even exist as anything. You go far
Exactly.
enough. You know
right.
what I mean?
Go far enough.
Yeah. But that people are not ready for those kinds of conversations, because your average person, their mind is not that open. You know, their mind's not that open to even believe that there's other beings out there. You know, they don't even believe God is an extraterrestrial, and God is clearly an extraterrestrial. You can't be from outside of something, building something from the outside, and not be considered extra to this Terranian. From the astrals too, because outside of this is the astrals.
Yeah, it's astral.
Yeah, you got extraterrestrial, or anything that's extra that come to this Terranian from the astrals. That's extraterrestrial. Simple. God was an extraterrestrial. You understand? You the wonders that you see all these extraterrestrial do, that's God, man. Or gods, as we would say. Yeah. When people come up to me and they ask me, do I believe in God? I tell them, well, God, you coincide with, that you talk about. I don't subscribe to that person. However, I do believe I'm a God, and I believe that there are gods out there. And I say, before we start having this conversation, read Psalms 82, verse 6. And when you finish reading that, then you understand your true purpose, even as a man or a woman, because it's for both. Psalms 82, verse 6. You live by that, then you understand your true purpose if you're a religious person.
He done gave us the okay. He just said it's the okay. He said, "Ye are guys, man."
That's right.
And it's like,
yeah,
and that's what I be tripping with. Some Christians be tripping me out.
And you want to know something? They try to find other answers to it, but even when you go into Exodus,
yeah,
I believe it was in Exodus or Genesis. I have to look it up. Where after they bit the fruit, or they bit whatever it was that they bit, he says, "For now you have become like one of us, knowing of good and evil." So somebody's sharing the same kind of knowledge, power.
Say that one more time, man. Say that one more time, man. I don't think they heard you. Say that.
It says in the Bible, and it has it in different ways. You know, you got your King James, you got your ye art thou, and you got your regular English. But it all boils down to this. After Adam and Eve bit the fruit, they said, "For you have become like one of us, knowing of good and evil." Yeah. That means equal power is distributed. Because if you become like one of us, because remember, the God that they speak of is the all-knowing, all-being God. He should know everything. There should be nothing above him or nothing beneath him, because he is the Alpha and the what? Omega, right? If you take something from God, if you take something from everything, which people consider to be God, it's not considered everything anymore. It's only considered some of a thing. That's why it's called some things, right? When it doesn't have that happening to it, it is everything. Yeah. If God, because people don't subscribe evil to God, they only subscribe evil to who? To Satan. But let's talk real talk here. If that is the case, would one want to believe that Satan has some kind of distributing power that he is saying that he is the owner of, which is evil? Because if not, if we're going to be keeping it 100 and using common sense, God created what?
The library will close in 30 minutes at 7 p.m.
See, we were going there. let me drop this right quick.
Until closing time.
God created.
Please save your work. Again, the library will close at 7 p.m.
So if he created everything, what is encapsulated in everything? What is encapsulated in everything?
Positive and negative.
Everything.
Yeah.
Because you take out positive, it's not considered everything anymore. It's only considered some other thing, and he just subscribed to evil. This nigga just subscribed to good. But is his bad just as powerful as his good? Because nobody want to subscribe to that. Everybody will say God is more powerful than the devil. So if God is more powerful than the devil, and God created everything, inside of that everything, that something that they want to consider to be evil, that is of God too. So God has evil and good in him, which makes him what? A balanced God. Because if you have too much of one thing, it ain't good for you. Trust me. And that's on both sides. So when they speak about God just being all good, that's not being 100 with yourself. Because not even you are all good. And if you're created after the image and the likeness, then who are you then? Because if your son is created after your image and likeness, when I look at him, who am I looking at?
Looking at me.
Okay then.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's how people have to look at religion. Be 100 with yourself. Gods exist. Not just one. You're just too lazy to do the homework and go find out who these other gods are.
You feel me?
Because they're there. They didn't go nowhere. They still there. We just being lazy. For us as a people, because that's not even we were into all of that.
Yeah.
All the different deities, all the different the different energies and whoever it is that takes on this form or that. We were into all of that. You understand what I'm saying? Like that was us all day. That was our story. The Santeria, you name them. Those are different parts of that believe in different deities. Think about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Orishas. I mean, come on, bro. Like gods. Those are not just one being we're talking about. So, and then when you do that, now they want to have the argument about with the one being, what sex is the being? Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Why do we belittle the creation of all creations to our mere little bodies and give it an attribute? There's no such thing as a he, and ain't no she. But if we did do the due diligence, that would be a big argument. Because one could say the dominant created the recessive. I would believe that more than I would believe a recessive creating a dominant. And if we go by sex, what sex is the dominant? The XX, what is that?
That's man, right?
That's a female.
Female.
XY
Oh, that's man.
is a male. That's a recessive, she's a dominant. So those are the things that when you go into religion, now we gotta say God is a he did this, he did that, boom, 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 da. When there's gods. There were she gods too.
Even as
Or goddesses, as you want to call them, you know?
Egyptians and the Sumerian texts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you all that.
The Sumerian text as well, absolutely. The Sumerian text is the old, probably one of the oldest, the Enuma Elish.
Yeah.
You know, the tablets.
Yeah.
Those things are real shit.
Yeah.
It talks about the great empire that existed with them too, the Babylonian Empire.
Yeah.
You know, I like that kind of stuff. In my mind, what I believe is that, and this is a belief, I don't know if this is for sure, but I could feel it. I feel that we're on our way to seeing the reality of who we are as human beings and what beings we served at some point in time. Because we can have a talk all day long about the Anunnakis. We can have a talk all day long about reptilians, Ashtar Command, any of these beings that they talk about that exist outside of this realm, this planet. But I believe we're gonna be able to see at some point in time what power we truly possess. Are we like the Avatar, you know, the blue people in the Avatar, where we connect with our energy? If black people all around the world can form that connection, and if this is one of the main reasons, bro, why they don't want us being together. This is why I say it will be impossible for us to get together, is because if we all form together under one prayer, bro, one form of meditation and a vibration to go with it, we could possibly move this whole fucking planet overnight. When I say move the planet, like spiritually, we could change the whole spectrum of how this planet just ran.
Yeah.
Because we have that energy inside of us. Like we have that is something inside of us that gives us that kind of push, the spark that our ancestors is like guiding all the way, but we just not, a lot of us just not hearing, and we're not trying to connect, and we're distracted. We got all kinds of technology and all these things that eat away at the percentage of your brain. You know what I mean? I tell people there's other ways I can talk to you offline. There's other ways that you can jumpstart your astral projection to be able to see the truth behind what we are talking about. And
how can you, man?
That's something I'll talk to you offline, because that's something that, you know,
that's next level. That's classified.
Well, for us as brothers, yeah, that's classified. For others brothers, that's classified. But you know, but there's ways to do that. Our ancestors practiced it, and they were on here, and they share the same kind of minerals we share today. We just flip it and bounce it on some dumb shit. That's why we eating poison and drinking poison. We're not doing it like the way they did it to make them connect. We don't even connect to the earth. We walk around with shoes on. That little rubber blocks the connection between you and the planet. And we do that all day long.
just imagine, yo, if like we gather a lot of our black folks are non-ether beings themselves,
A lot of them are walking around.
and just not have shoes on and just
Yeah.
really connect. Man,
They don't even want to connect spiritually because they feel the fastest way to connect spiritually is saying they believe in God. There's a lot more work that go behind that.
Yeah.
There's a deeper meaning behind that. You can't just walk around saying that and you're melanin. You're a person of melanin descent. You sound like an imposter if you don't know what that really means. Because you're only understanding this in one fucking form, and you're on this earth for quite some time. You should know something before it's time to transition. Else you're gonna be stuck in purgatory.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Because you're reading something. First of all, you're speaking in a language that is not of your own, and then you're reading the text of that of which follows you
And just that. You
to the
just
lowest
stop
form
at that.
because their vibration of the information they follow on us is at the lowest vibration. That's why now we work at a low vibration. They're feeding off of our high vibration and feeding us their low vibration.
Right.
So,
Ain't that crazy?
man, that's crazy, bro.
That's
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
you crazy, man.
That's crazy, bro.
Now I think about it, like they really, in every way and form, how it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the at the root chakra,
Mhm.
for instance, with a lot
They
of
want us at
shit.
our lowest vibration. If we
But-
get to our highest vibration, we are unstoppable. Not only from an intellectual level, but obviously from a spiritual level, and definitely from a physical level. We're unstoppable. But that's not to say we're going to war with every fucking race out there. But we want to assert ourselves, and we're in the rightful place that we should be. Because it did start from that domain.
Yeah.
Before this whole Pangea shit decided to happen, and the continental drifts, the domain was there, and there were people that were there from that part of the world. When the continents drifted apart, they stayed on that side and drifted with them. Africans didn't just show up to this motherfucker through slavery. They're aboriginals. They're ancestral to this land.
And that's what's not being talked about either. Like that, these like a lot of the continents was not always separate.
Mm.
Like it was all one.
You
continent.
could put them together like a puzzle.
Yeah, that's why.
It's all one landmass in the beginning. As you know, they had the continental drift and everything drifted apart, but the people remained the same. It's just different areas. And they came over here, saw black people, man. They didn't see what people are subscribing to say that they saw. Not saying that some of them weren't here. Yeah, obviously, they came from Alaska area. They came down, they migrated. But, let's keep it 100. A lot of us was here. We were here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not taking the claim like I'm descendant of here, because I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But they're my family too, so I know the knowledge on them as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So we're gonna end it with this. So do you think the simple fact that the continents was not always separate and they was actually one, do that solidify that we don't live in a sphere?
So do you feel like? So do you feel?
Because if we was really living on a sphere,
Mhm.
how would that be if all the continents was all at one together like that?
So do you think you don't believe that gravity play a role in this, or do you believe in gravity first of all?
Yeah, I believe in gravity.
All right, so do you believe that gravity can be distributed in many different ways as far as energy goes, the conduction of energy?
Yeah.
In order for things, this is me, okay? This is my in my opinion, right? In order for things to exist, it has to have a 360 form. Like everything is in a 360 circumference. It's probably the highest order of mathematics is 360, because it's a complete circle.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at how your life is run every day, it's like a complete circle, is it not? Doing the same thing every day, right? You just put a little twist to it every day, but you're still doing everything. You're going to bed and you're waking up. That's a circle. You're coming right back.
Yeah.
24 hours. You understand?
Yeah.
That's in a circular form. When you look on the clock, right? Analytically speaking is different, yes, but when you look on, when you're looking at a clock, it's not so different because it's in a circular form.
Right.
Right? When you look at, when they show you, let's see, I'm trying to think of other spheres that you can actually base some of your knowledge off of, right? When you look at how we structure our years, how do we structure it? How do we structure one from one year to another?
365.
365, right? And then
Which is really 360, but yeah.
And then with an extra 5 days added to it. But when you think about 360 degrees, that's a circular form. And to me, when I look at visions, because we don't know for a fact, because this argument can only way this argument would be disproven is if you or I decide to hop our asses in a spaceship and go out and say, oh shit, it's in a circular form and it's in a form of a sphere, right? But we could always argue that conversation all day long, because for me, I've been on so many different fucking planes in my life. And when I'm in the air and I look down, it don't look flat. It really don't. It looks very round. You understand? And the reason why I'm saying it's looking round is because how I'm envisioning everything from these eyes of mine.